Joe Jackson is joining me on the line. Joe, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Good evening, Maro. Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you too. When we spoke, you gave an advice. You also prayed that what has happened should not signal for us an opportunity to go and borrow more. It appears we are going to go there. Before I ask your reaction to that, this IMF 3 billion money, $3 billion that we are talking about, is it a loan that we are going to pay back, or is a gift IMF has given to us?
Maro, it is not a gift. I repeat, it is not a gift. It is a loan we have to pay back. The IMF does not give gifts.
And I've seen publications suggesting that China may take over our natural resources if we are not able to pay back some monies. Explain that to us too, if it is even true.
Well, what happened was when we borrowed from China, we used some assets. In this case, revenues and from certain energy projects and also the bauxite as collateral. Since we have defaulted, the risk is that China will come and take over the collateral. We hope that since they are in negotiation, that won't happen, but it is a real risk.
I see. And
we have defaulted.
That's if we default.
We have already defaulted.
Is there a way out of it now?
Well, there's a negotiation going on with China. So we pray that that negotiation will end well, such that they won't take over our collateral and we'll be able to start making payments at the appropriate time. They are going to give us time to pay back rather than take over the collateral.
I've got people ask me, they say, well, IMF just gave you 3 billion 2 days ago. Why is your president saying he's going for more money or he's going to borrow more? Explain to us how these things work.
Imaro, first of all, I think it's time to say that I'm not sure, and I really am not clear in my mind whether the president, His Excellency, the President of Ghana, is talking about borrowing in the next year or so, or he's talking about borrowing somewhere in the next 3-4 years from the international Eurobond or commercial paper market. Because we haven't even finished negotiating the deal with the current creditors. We haven't dotted the I's and crossed the T's. We have a commitment as to the way forward, but the deal has not been finalized yet. In fact, it is one of the things we are supposed to do as a performance indicator under the IMF bailout. So before we finish negotiating, dotting the I's and crossing the T's on our debt that we have defaulted since December, that we are thinking about another going back to the market soon. It baffles me a bit.
But
the only explanation I have is that the president's definition of soon is different from our definition of soon. And that soon his time horizons must be different. Because we haven't even, the ink is not dry on the agreement yet.
But he's just stating the obvious. That's what we are looking for. We just wanted an opportunity to go back to the market. That is the whole idea behind this IMF deal, isn't it? And so if we have clenched it, we might as well go ahead with our original plan, which is to get freedom outside there to borrow more, borrow ourselves back into a hole maybe.
The point of the IMF deal is one, to help us negotiate with current debtors. So there's a debt negotiation that should be done. Part of that debt negotiation involves domestic debtors and foreign debtors. Part of it is increasing our ability to pay our debt, which is the revenue enhancement. Part of it is reducing our expenditure, And all three together will help us bring us to the point where we are now managing our finances better and we can go back to the market.
And part of it is to give us the credibility that we require so that the doors will not be shut on us again.
Yes, but we haven't even finished negotiating the old deal.
But there's light at the end of the tunnel, so Kanushi.
Well, but it depends on how long your tunnel is. Your tunnel, maybe if your tunnel is can be walked in 6 months, then it's very different from the tunnel I'm looking at, which will take at least 2 years to walk.
So at what point would you say, I mean, the ink has dried now, we can start knocking at the doors of Eurobond?
At the point where the revenue, we expect the public revenues have demonstrably gone up. At the point where we've reduced the size of government and we've made an attempt at the structural changes that will cause this economy to be sustainable.
Well,
we are not at that point yet.
Now that so the ministers, in fact, if you listen to the voice from the president or the president where he spoke, the person who was moderating the event swiftly prompted him that the finance minister had said that we are not going to go there soon. Does it sound like, okay, it sounds like there's a contradiction between the minister's plan with this IMF program and the president's own plan? Or I'm not reading between the lines well?
You are. Remember that there had been an earlier indication from the other honorable minister, Aminu Adam, right? And that had been, the Minister of Finance had come back to contradict and say we are not going soon. Now there's a new mixed signal from the president and what soon is I don't know what his soon is. But obviously there are mixed signals coming from the Ministry of Finance. The honorable finance minister is saying something else. The other minister and the president are also saying something else. In this case, I align myself, in this particular case, I align myself with what the Minister of Finance is saying, that there's absolutely no hurry and that we have to fix our economy before we go back to that market. In fact, the president at some point said we are not in a hurry. So I'm not sure what to take of, what to make of what he's saying. But what I know is that maybe, just maybe, his definition of soon is different from my definition of soon from where I sit.
Very well. Before we go on, the earlier conversation we had about China and if we default on our loans, you said we've already defaulted. Is it the case that you're being cynical by saying we've already defaulted? Because the publications I'm looking at are suggesting that if we default, which means we have not defaulted yet.
Okay, now remember that we haven't paid, we have signaled to all markets that we are not paying our debt since December. So if it is not due, we are not, strictly speaking, we haven't defaulted. But we have told everybody that we are not going to pay until we finish the negotiation.
Okay, so that's the extrapolation you have made. I think it's clearer now. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
That's Joe Jackson of Dalex Finance helping us make sense of the latest message we're receiving from the president, where he said that will soon return to the IMF, not IMF, will soon return to the bond market for more loans or to go and borrow more.